Welcome to Product Fridays, everybody. I'm Andrew McGill.
Wait, hold on. What? How are you?
Hello. Andrew McGill here. Do I have another Andrew on the call?
How is this your setup? How is this possible?
New office. New year, new office, baby. I hope you know if you like my, wrong way. You know, like my new clock. Got a plan over here. You can't see it, but there's a picture of my beautiful wife right here. How do you do this? Right
You're
there.
obviously very comfortable in your space that you own. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was time for me to upgrade, and I'm looking at you all the time on this podcast, and I'm just loving the lighting and the background and the setup. So I got my own.
Wow. Okay. Well, what? I mean, now I feel like I need to update my space.
Yeah, maybe you should go and get like an iPhone you mount above your computer. That's number one.
Yeah.
And then sit in your wife's office and have like a daybed behind you.
Okay.
With some of your kids' stuff on it. And it's like a really homey, good vibe that's honestly superior to this. I might just go back.
And then just like one little dinky light and just call it a day.
Yeah, it's called the sun. Called the sun. I'm going back home. Peace.
All right, I'll see you over there. Happy New Year, Andrew. Happy New Year, everyone. First episode of 2026.
Here we are.
Right at the very beginning of January.
Recording the middle of January. Andrew, we have some news to share.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin.
I mean, I'm Andrew. You're Andrew. We've been working together for a while, but now it's official. We've started a new company.
We have started the Andrew Company, which has a mandate for doing two things. One, creating amazing, lovable products for ourselves and for the world, for the people we love. And then two, to help other people, clients, do the same thing. But I feel like we got to rewind. And it's funny, we've been talking about this for so long. It's always hard for me to like know exactly where to start. But can I try real quick?
Please.
Okay, so Andrew and I met at the Atlantic in 2019, and we really quickly became friends, partly because we are working on a super exciting project together. We were re-envisioning the Atlantic's app, and it was like the core nugget of a broader kind of subscription-focused experience. And I think in the course of that, we discovered what we like to do very quickly, which is we like working together, we like ideating very fast, and we like building new things and testing them, and then getting that to version 1 and getting it out the door. Fast forward 3 or 4 years later, you left the Atlantic to start your own consulting practice. 1 year later, I did the same, leaving Politico. And we ended up every year having like at least one big meaty project together. I think in 23, it would have been the Washington Post. We did a big thing with them. I think in 24, we did CNN. In 25, we did MS Now, formerly MSNBC. And there's some other stuff in between there. And those were always the highlight of the year for me. I loved these projects I did with you. And I think part of it was because of the kind of projects that we attracted together. And of course, the other half was because I was working with one of my best friends. And when we hit the middle of 2025, and we talked last episode about what was going on, we started thinking more seriously, like, can we just make this a thing we do all the time? And it took us a little while to get there.
Mm-hmm. One of your best friends. That's really interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think it took us a little while to get there because our individual businesses were going pretty well. Like we both had work, and sometimes we'd get to do work together and one of us would subcontract the other. And it was sort of like, it ain't broke, why fix it? But as we got deeper into that journey, I mean, there's probably a bunch of reasons that it happened, but I think there was this really comforting feeling that if two people are all in, we're neither of us is doing it alone. Like, I think everything's better with a friend, and you can probably grow bigger with a partner than you can by yourself. And there's this feeling of like, well, we'll always be fine, because two guys who are both actively building the business are not going to both be okay with it failing. And but it's hard. It's basically like getting married in the business world, right? Like there was we got to enjoy the benefits of being partners, but not being married.
Oh, yeah, situationship for sure.
You know, like I never would have had to explain an expense that I incurred for my business to you, especially if it was a frivolous one. And Am I that worried about that going forward? No, but like I'm going to have to like run stuff by you. And that's
it'll come
such a
up.
banal example, but there's so much of that when you're enjoined with another person.
I agree. And like the marriage analogy, I think annoys our actual spouses, but to me is pretty apt because you are making the choice to like hitch your wagon to somebody else because you believe you will both make each other better.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of baggage that comes along with that. And I think it's funny. We both started our own companies and we felt this kind of sense of freedom at start.
Yes.
It's like, oh my gosh, money just like comes to me. I mean, you have to work for it, but it's mine and I get to have it. And I get this, you know, I get more work-life balance and
I get to refuse it if I don't want to do it.
Exactly. And I get to be my own boss. I get to pick my bosses. And that's all true. I think with the benefit of 3 years under our combined belts, 4, in some ways, we also see the downsides, which is it's all on you. It's terribly lonely at times. You're beholden to the business cycle. You suddenly worry about macroeconomics a lot more. And I truly believe that the best projects are made when you're in partnership with someone else because there's this like reinforcing of your separate sine waves. You know, sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. But it always seems to align when we work together such that we fill in the gaps for the other person. And then when we're both up, we go way higher. And I just wanted that for my business life. I'm like, I would love to have both the stabilizing influence and also like the power boost that comes from having you as a partner.
Yeah. Well, Mel Robbins talks about this in an actual marriage context, that it's rare that both partners in a marriage can give it 100%. And sometimes one person can only give 40 and the other person can give 60. And when the two of those people sort of understand how to communicate that, things go much better. So there will be times when you are crashing on something and I'm feeling a little bad about it. And then I'll, make sure to pick up the ball when I can. Hopefully it's usually pretty equitable on balance, but this is a big experiment for us. And it's one that I'm really excited about. I feel really lucky to have you as a partner. And again, as you alluded to, we started this relationship as coworkers, right? And the reason the Atlantic project was so much fun, and this is probably a good excuse to talk a little bit about what we plan to do, was we both come from media. We're both journalists who sort of like grew up in that space. And so the Atlantic was a pretty special place to work. And we got to take this old special thing, but reinvent it. We had this blank check to imagine what an Atlantic app would look like if we invented it tomorrow, instead of trying to recreate what it always was, which frankly was kind of a facsimile of the magazine with a bunch of headlines. There wasn't a lot of design or kind of anything special about the UX separate from what people could get on the site. And so we got to zoom out and really consider the big picture of like, what is the value proposition of the Atlantic and how can we build something unique to the form factor, which in this case was a smartphone that feels Atlantic-y, but also totally new. And we came up with something that we were both really proud of and that people responded well to. We've gotten to do that a bunch of times now. And I think I'm speaking for you too, but certainly speaking for me, the last 4 years for me of doing consulting, like I've done a whole bunch of stuff. I wasn't even clear. I would even change the positioning on my website once a quarter. I'm like, oh, this is the direction.
Remember when your
That's the
website,
direction I'm going.
Remember when your website just said, call me if you get stuck?
Yeah. Like my whole brand for a while was like, I'll work with execs to get them unstuck on problems with their teams. And I had like a bunch of executive coaching and sort of, organizational efficiency type client
and
work.
by the way, part of my brand used to be like, I'll help you design a new version of your site and I'll make it for you. I'll just do it. And it was, in some ways, like that was a bit more on the commodity side. I've definitely gone through those shifts too.
Yeah. And so I feel like we've both individually optimized our businesses and our lives to do mostly stuff we really like to do and a minimum of stuff we don't like to do. And it's not bad that there's some stuff that we don't like to do. I think one of the big takeaways is like, we love that big picture, blank whiteboard, what's possible starting point, right? Like I think the thing that probably terrifies a lot of people gets us going. It probably terrifies us a little bit. Well, we love the research, the design, the prototyping, the telling the story to executives and all of that stuff. I don't think we love the part of product management that's like maintaining a backlog and, responding to production defects and leading scrums. Well, we could do it. I just did one of those earlier this year. But I think we're realizing that our favorite part of the product development lifecycle is the 0 to 1 part.
Yes.
And we had to do like 3 or 4 of those together and a bunch of other stuff too to realize, wait, this is the thing. This is what we should focus on. But actually, we're skipping over an important part here.
Tell me.
Well, I mean, so we've been focused on the work that we do with clients, which is still the bulk of our business at the moment. But I see the Andrew Company in the bigger picture as a product development shop. We're making great products. We've got some side projects of our own that we hope turn into front burner projects under the auspices of the Andrew Company, which is really exciting. There are a lot of fun problems that you and I would like to take big swings at, not because a client is paying us to do it, but because we want to put it out there in the world. And I think we're both excited by the prospect of our products having an audience that uses the product and hopefully pays for the product.
We actually went through this exercise using Bandwagon, your app, by the way,
Yes.
which allows you to have conversations with each other with an AI agent kind of sitting in between, answering stuff, guiding things. And we did a 5-year visualization exercise.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I remember I typed it in and I hit enter a lot so you couldn't see it and then you could type your own. And in my ideal universe, 5 years from now, like, yes, our products that we've built that we love, that have solved problems that we think are important, and maybe not the biggest problems, but like we solved them really well. I would love for that to be a core nucleus of our business. That's actually, for me, the emotional center of our business. And if those end up like throwing off some passive revenue, that's would be ideal. That's part of my 5-year happy vision. And I would love then to be able to pick or have the honor of picking, 1 or 2 amazing, challenging client projects per year that really hit that sweet spot of taking either a new business or a huge existing brand from 0 to 1 on a specific thing. If we can do that and then have some time to like play tennis and then we see each other a lot, I would be in heaven.
Yeah, can we just take one more minute on that exercise we did? I'm trying to remember all the things we said. The one that sticks out the most for me, since we each did our own independent, writing down what a happy future looks like, is that we were both happy to be working 5 years from now. We were not like, oh, we're rich from our app's hugely successful exit and living in the Bahamas for half the year. We were happy to be working, but happy to be working on only the things that we cared about and happy to be doing it with each other.
One thing that I think was a bit of growth in your mindset, or at least a shift, and it benefited me because it came towards me, is I think back in the day, you were thinking, like, I want to build an app and time to get rich. And maybe I'm misstating my position. Whereas my position has always been time to build an app, and then I would love for it to spin off enough money that I can then make another one and just kind of keep the wheel turning. And there's no end date for me. I don't have an end state I'm trying to get to, where it's like I can stop working and I can live in the Hamptons. Like, my true vision of happiness is that we've hit a cycle where we can keep being in that flow state and that happy state of just building new things. And we are free from enough financial stress that we feel security to do that. But it's not a huge unicorn exit. And that's why I think my ambitions for my products, I mean, this is a bad thing, is always a bit more modest. I want them to solve a single problem really well, but they don't have to scale to make me a billionaire.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being a little rich. Definitely don't want to be a billionaire. I think you hit it. I'd like to only work on things because I want to, not because I have to. I feel like that is true freedom and like the apex of humanity. And we'd be so lucky to get there. And we've danced on that.
We've tasted it.
Yeah. And, also good growth for me because as we've discussed, like we had a few false starts where we were almost there and I wasn't quite ready and neither of us really knew why. And I think I told you it was like, 2 Thanksgivings ago now. I don't know if I'll be a good partner. I think I work best solo. I might drive you crazy, Andrew. And naming that was helpful in addressing it. And of course, I still have little niggling worries about irritating my best friend or not pulling my weight or all of those things. But it feels like growth to, just as like you sort of have your single life figured out and then you go to marry someone and then you have to figure stuff out all over again. We're going to learn a lot from this. We can't not. And we've both agreed, and it's literally written down, that we need to address problems when they come up address them openly, honestly, plainly. Don't hold anything in. Just talk about stuff. And I really think in any relationship that matters, especially in a new one. So maybe this time next year, we'll do a podcast episode about all the things we learned about starting a new business together.
Totally. Okay. Well, I want to shift. Well,
Yeah.
first I should say, I would be remiss on our podcast to not say, if you have something you want to build,
Oh yeah.
the Andrew company is open for business. Like we've got an amazing client we're working with right now that someday hopefully we can talk about soon. But we love hearing what you're cooking. And honestly, I'm in listening mode. I am trying to like hear what the universe is asking to be built and then find the right way for either us or our trusted partner. We have tons of friends that also do some other stuff.
Yeah, we're Rick Rubin, just listening to the signals, waiting for them to just arrive. We don't do a good enough job self-promoting. We should probably tell people to go to andrew.company if they want to get in touch with us or learn more about what we've done. We got the domain. I'm very proud of that domain, andrew.company, spelled out. Here, I'll put it right here on the screen.
Boop, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Can we shift into just some of the fun trivia about starting this business?
Yeah, man. There's some ridiculous stuff that we've learned that I feel like, I don't know if it'll serve us well or not, but yeah. Why don't you start?
All right. So if you're looking to start your own business, some stuff we figured out. First off, tons of organizations out there, including some that seem very trusted, like Stripe, will offer to take care of everything for you. They're like, we'll incorporate you.
Big check, yeah.
For a big check. We'll incorporate you in Delaware. We'll get you a registered agent. You get all these discounts other places. It is almost, I actually shouldn't say criminally easy, but I'm meaning that in the non-criminal version. It is almost criminally easy to start a company in Delaware.
It's hilarious.
I literally went to the Delaware Corporation online website and I'm reading through their FAQ and they say, okay, here's the form you have to fill out to incorporate. And I downloaded it and I'm like, wait, this is it? I don't even know if I can even show it on the screen. Like it is a one pager that says, this is the name of the company. This is our address in Delaware. You have to get one of those. And maybe there's a signature. I think there's a signature. I'm not even sure. And then you just send that to Delaware and it happens.
Yeah, well, it's not even an address in Delaware. It's just that they need an address for a registered agent, which is just a company that accepts correspondence on your behalf. A lot of states don't actually require that. Delaware does. And we just got one that's in Delaware because that's kind of standard. Why Delaware, by the way? A lot of people might be wondering. I mean, the main reason businesses start in Delaware, besides the fact that it's criminally easy, is because there's a whole court system devoted to business issues. So there are very business-friendly courts in Delaware. And so it's kind of become the de facto place. Andrew and I are operating in two different places. Sadly, we're not in the same place. So Andrew's in Washington, D.C. I'm in greater New York City. And Delaware is just a nice neutral place to do it. But yeah, it's literally like a PDF that Pam, like scanned. And then you just write, I think you wrote the Andrew Company, the name of our agent, their address, and a signature. I think that's literally it. And it was like $80, and then we paid extra to have it done the same day. So it was like $200 total. This
is the beauty of it. Like we were waiting to incorporate until the first of the year so we could skip some tax stuff. And we, had our client waiting for us basically to incorporate it. And like, I think I filed that PDF and I'm like, this needs to clear by Friday because we are having a workshop on Monday. And at one point I was stressing out because I hadn't gotten an email correspondence back. And you were talking me off the ledge and you're like, well, what if I just call Delaware? I'll just call them.
I called Pam.
And what did she say?
Incredibly kind and competent woman. And she's like, did your card get charged? And I said, yes. And she said, you're official. I was like, but is there like an approval period? She's like, no. Once your card is charged, you're officially a business. You should get documentation in the mail in a couple days. She wasn't condescending about it, but she was almost like, what's so hard about this, dude? I'm like, I formed my business in New York State where you had to do a crazy, I had to publish the fact that I was a business in a local Jewish newspaper in Brooklyn, like for 6 weeks consecutively. And they charged me $600 for that privilege. Delaware is easy.
Super, super easy. I think one thing that you do have to do to incorporate in Delaware, which actually turns out to be pretty good, like marriage counseling for your business partner, is you do need to file an operating agreement. When I say file, it just means that somewhere you have to sign it and then store it somewhere. It's not with Delaware. It's currently like in DocuSign for us. But this operating agreement basically lays out the terms of your partnership. And I mean, what I just pulled a boilerplate one down from like LegalZoom. But what I think was special is that we took it into Claude and we kind of went back and forth on what things we care about and what parts we want to beef up or be more explicit about. And my favorite part of this is we have a pretty unique way of handling dispute resolution. Can I just lay that out? So you're reading through and we hit 4.4 deadlock resolution. And it starts pretty simply. In case we're not able to reach a unanimous consent on any matter, the following procedure will apply. A, mediation by spouses. The members shall first submit the matter to mediation by their respective spouses. The members' spouses must meet jointly to discuss it and reach a resolution. And if they do reach an agreement, it will be binding on the member. So if we ever get into a fight, Margaret on my side and Tracy on yours, I guess they have to go to Delaware. I don't know. Have a conversation and then tell us WTF to do. And I feel like that's pretty strong. They already do that.
Yeah.
But I wrote in an extra provision because
what if they disagree?
What if they don't agree?
What if we're deadlocked? Right.
This one I feel like I got to read verbatim. So we move on to B, which is caloric arbitration. If the spouses are unable to reach unanimous agreement or if mediation by spouses is impracticable for any reason, the members shall meet together at a mutually agreed upon Cheesecake Factory or International House of Pancakes, IHOP, restaurant location. Prior to making any decision on the disputed matter, each member must consume a complete meal of at least 1,500 calories to completion. You gotta eat all of it. And following the consumption of such meals, the matter shall be resolved by the flip of a fair coin. I think that's pretty good.
I think it's amazing. As I know you did, I ran the whole thing through Claude to be like, hey, I'm working on an operating agreement with a very friendly partner. Can I just get a once over of the language? And Claude stopped in the middle of its thinking and said, this is hilarious. I love it so much. And we went back and forth and I was like, well, should it be a touch more formal? And Claude was like, well, you could add a clause saying that failing the caloric arbitration, you go work with professional arbitrators. And then it said, but if you're too mad at each other to even go to the Olive Garden, or I guess IHOP or Cheesecake Factory, your business is probably over. So why make that clause any more legal than it needs to be? So that was good enough for me. I signed it enthusiastically.
Well, hopefully we never get there.
No.
But it's actually not that hard to eat 1,500 calories at Cheesecake Factory.
No, that's like one appetizer.
Yeah, it's really simple. I think that we should round us out by just saying our gratitude and intentions. I have 2 points of gratitude. One is to you, because this is a big step and it's scary and it did take us a while. Even though we're really close, even we needed a lot of time to make this happen. And the second thing I'm grateful for, honestly, is a bunch of people listening to this podcast, because we've spoken to a bunch of you about this partnership and got advice and the do's and don'ts, and like the community that's been growing around us and growing around this and our network has been really supportive, and I'm just grateful because it's just makes it possible to do something like this.
I would echo both of those. Thanks to everybody thanks to our wives who both gave us the permission to start our own businesses 3 or 4 years ago, which led to this moment, and all the clients we've had, all the mentors, the great conversations with people who are in the same boat. We were joking earlier about how criminally easy it is to start a corporation in Delaware, and like mechanically clicking the buttons, filling out the form, criminally easy. But all the stuff that goes up to that moment of figuring out what you're trying to accomplish and how it's going to work and what your support system is, that's hard. It should be hard. It should always be a little hard. And I'm proud of us for putting that work in. And it's funny, it kind of feels like campaigning for a public office. Like we did all the work and now we actually have to start. We have to start governing. We have to start working. But talk about good fortune. We started 2026 as a new business with an amazing client that we'll talk about when we can, and a whole bunch of ideas in the business development pipeline and a whole bunch of ideas in the product development pipeline. So I think it's going to be a good year, bud.
I agree. Okay. Well, I think that's it. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. No B segment?
No. Don't you have to leave in like 2 minutes?
Yeah, it's true. Oh, we didn't talk about the Vision Pros.
I know. We'll do that next time.